Alright, so, this is going to be another fanfiction idea, and this one is kind of coinciding with the shared alternate universe Universal Monsters I've been kind of building with, starting off with the Gravity Falls Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde crossover I did a few weeks back, and then again with Dracula, making that a Star versus AU. So, let's continue on with Ladybug, Phantom of the Opera. So, this is going to be this one's going to be a fun one because it's going to go in the way you were not expecting. Anyway, so in this story, Adrien is we're in the 1800s most of these stories, and Adrien is a inspector. He is a young inspector who has been tasked by the police force to investigate a murder that occurred at the Paris Opera House. However, Adrien's not really keen on that, mostly because he really doesn't like the idea of going to the Opera House because it has a lot of bad memories. One of those bad memories is that his father owns the Paris Opera House. He is the impresario he's basically the owner of the building now. And he and his father haven't really gotten along, and Adrien's like, I would prefer to go with someone. Like, I would prefer if someone else went. And they were, well, no, you're going, because you have a connection to the opera house, and you probably have an insight to this murder. So, yeah, Adrien's just like, I really would prefer not to. And then his commanding officer's like, well, you're going. He's like, fuck, well, I'm going. So Adrien goes, and the murder in question is a young dancer named Sabrina who was found hung in the rafters of the opera house. So he is like, well, I remember Sabrina. She was not a good person. So Adrien meets with his father for when he's inspecting the body, and he's like, yeah, this wasn't an accident. This was intention. Gabriel's trying to pass it off as to investors and other people, saying like, oh, it was a tragic accident. She was up helping with the lights and she tripped and fell and the poor thing got strangled. And Adrien's like, haha, you're full of shit, Dad, because this is murder. This is straight up murder, and you know it. So Adrien talks to his father and is like, how did this happen? And he's like, we don't know. Like, all we know is that Sabrina had been hanging there, and we found Sabrina hanging there. The opening staff found her there, and it was weird because no one had spoken, everyone spoke to her the previous night, and she went home early. So we don't know why she came back from her home, and they're like, well, either that or she got lured here or dragged out of her home. So I'm gonna need an address. And he's like, I wish you would have put more effort into your life, Adrien, than with the opera house than you did with the police force. And he's like, yeah, well, you killed it for me. So basically, it's revealed that when Adrien was younger, his father wanted him to be an opera singer. He wanted him to be like a part of the Paris Opera House. Adrien's mother was a famous opera singer, and his father in this continuity was a director, a famous play director who fell in love with her, and then she came down with pneumonia, died, and Gabriel really wanted his son to follow in his mother's footsteps, but he broke away from it because it felt too constraining, and his father was too much of a perfectionist. So Adrien went off to join the life to be a detective. So Adrien goes to Sabrina's house to look for any clues as to what's going on, and he's already like, I know it's my job, and what happened to Sabrina was awful, but there's a part of me that's like, you deserved it after what you did. So Adrian's like looking through the house, looking for any evidence, and he like the thing is like there is no sign of forced entry. There were like whatever happened, like whoever lured her out was outside, and he actually like he has to look outside her window and see like it's a straight drop. Like it is a straight drop down to the road. It's like someone had to have been standing on the outside of her house glaring at her. There's no tree to like climb up or lamppost to like climb up into the window. Someone either snuck in or lured her out. That was the only two ways. So as Adrian's like leaving, he runs right into Chloe, one of his other, childhood friends, and he's like, "Hi, Chloe," and she's like, "Are you going to do anything about this?" And Chloe is now the diva, the prima donna of the Paris Opera House. And he's like, "Look, Chloe, I am looking into, who killed your friend, but I need time." And she's like, whoever did this is obviously, some kind of insane psychopath that you need to, to arrest and set the guillotine on. And he's like, I'm doing my best here, Chloe. And he's like, who else, like, did anyone else see Sabrina go home? And she's like, yeah, she went home early, but she looked spooked. And he's like, spooked? Like, you're scared? And she's like, yeah. She said, like, she saw someone up in, like, she was practicing early, for the, she was practicing her dance routine for the next play, and she said she saw someone up in the like a shadow watching her up in the rafters. And he's like, thank you. I am gonna go back to the opera house now and find, probably question some more people. So he starts questioning other people, but he is not happy with Chloe because he remembers Chloe from a accident that we'll get to later. So he meets with other people, especially Lila, he's like, this woman is a consistent liar. I cannot. So everything she says, I have to take the opposite of. And sure enough, she's like, oh yeah, she looked fine to me. She looked all like Sabrina looked happy and all that. She looked totally safe and secure and everything else. Like, I don't know who would do this to such a lovely young girl. And to which, Adrian's like, fucking Christ, I hate this bitch. Eventually he finds a familiar face that he's friends with, and that's Alia, who is also another dancer there. And Alia is basically like, yeah, it's good to see you again, and I did see, I can't really give you anything new that the others haven't already said. I will say, though, that there has been some weird stuff going on at the opera house. And he's like, what kind of stuff? And she goes, well, there's been like whispers, we hear whispers, we sometimes see a shadow up in the rafters. There's even like, if anyone works, like any of the working staff claim they see like a figure like just out of sight, that if you just like if you see it, you won't see it again. And like, we believe it's the Phantom of the Opera. And whoever they are, they've been leaving letters for your dad. And he's like, you didn't bring that up to me. And he's like, and she's like, no, he didn't. You should go talk to him about it. And he's like, oh, I plan to. So he goes back to Gabriel. He goes back to his dad and is like, hey, Dad, when were you going to tell me that a ghost is in your hotel? A ghost is in your opera house and been leaving you letters? And he's like, it's nothing that really concerns you. It's just an old superstition from the previous owners that I've been keeping up. And he's like, what owner? What superstition is that? And he shows the letters as like the Phantom. Shows him the letters and is like, I am the Phantom. I have my monthly salary of 20,000 francs, and that I keep box 5 open for every opera show. And he's like, and you do this? And he goes, at first I didn't want to believe it, but the increasing sightings of this, and also another letters threatening that if I missed a payment, or if I kept box 5, if I didn't open box 5, there would be a tragedy. And he's like, and that's when Sabrina died. And he's like, no, that's the crazy thing. I skipped a payment, and all that really happened was a broken floorboard that like caused one of our extras to like break an ankle, and that was weird. and then I made the payments and nothing happened. And this still, like, I made the payments and then a month later, that was a month ago, I already made the monthly payment, and I kept box 5 open after that incident, just out of a superstition. Sabrina died either way. And he's like, huh. Well, I think your quote-unquote phantom is the one behind all of the, all of these acts. So he goes back to Alia to talk to her about, more about this phantom, and Alia brings up the point of, hey, you didn't want to come here, did you? Your superiors forced you to be here because you had a knowledge of the opera house. And he goes, yeah, I did. And he goes, I never wanted to come back here after that night. And he goes, yeah, and Alia's like, yeah, I don't blame you. So basically it's revealed that, well, actually something else happens that, Adrien says, I'm going to sit in box 5 for the next show, and he's like, and because I know you're gonna keep this show up, Dad, so I might as well stick around and see what you do. To which Gabriel's like, okay. So Adrien sits in box 5, and he's like, I'm waiting, Phantom. I'm enjoying the show in your private viewing. So what's the holdup? But however, what happens is during intermission, Lila goes missing. Lila has been taken, and the start of Act 2, she's something stumbles on stage, and it's Lila with her face cut off. Yeah, all of her face cut off, and everyone's horrified in the opera house. There's panic. There's running everywhere, and what happens is that Adrien draws his gun. He chases after what he thinks he sees as a figure, and it's a masked figure who glares at him and is like, hello, Adrien. He's like, whoa, how did you know my name? And you sound really No. So the Phantom escapes, and he goes back to Alia, and he basically says, it's, I didn't think about it until I found Lila dead. Alia, when were you going to tell me Marinette's still alive? So, yes, in this continuity, when Adrien was growing up in the opera house, he met a young orphan girl named Marinette Dupain Chang, who was a ballet dancer alongside Alia. And the two, grew to, really love and care for one another. But the problem was that Sabrina, Lila, and Chloe really hated her. They really didn't like the fame that she was getting, the merits that she was getting. Even Gabriel wanted her to be the new singer rather than be the understudy and be the full-time singer, and Chloe be the understudy. Well, that kind of tore it, because one night, they basically, when Marinette was getting ready for a show, the other girls, Sabrina, Chloe, and Lila, what they did was pull a little fire just to scare her, light some fireworks. But what happened was it went overboard and everything caught fire, and Marinette supposedly burned to death because the room collapsed in on itself. And while they couldn't find a body, they were basically yeah, she's probably dead. So that was also the breaking point for Adrien to leave the opera house, because it was too many bad memories. And she's like, did you know? Yeah, she knew who I was. The Phantom knew who I was, and knew how to get around. It has to be her. But how could she have lived after this? So Alia reveals that she's been helping Marinette because she wanted revenge on them too for what they did to her. Marinette basically, she survived, but her room collapsed into the catacombs underneath the Paris Opera House. From there, Marinette's face was horribly mangled, but she basically found sanctuary under there, healed as best she could, and swore vengeance on them with Alia's help. And he's like, you are going to lead me down there because I know who her next victim is. Obviously she's saving Chloe for last. So we have to go protect her And he was like, no, then she'll figure out something's amiss. Like, then she'll figure out that something has gone horrible, something's gone wrong. So you need to, I'm seeing now that, like, Alia's like, yeah, Marinette's gone crazy. Like, Marinette has gone mad. I thought we were just going to scare them and drive them out of the Paris Opera House. But, yeah. So Adrien concocts a plan with Gabriel and Chloe, and everyone else, to have, like, a big play and have Chloe sing, and it's going to be like the cops are going to be there, and they're going to cover all the exits, even into the underground of the Paris Opera House. So there's nowhere where Marinette could go. So from there, the big night happens. Cops are all around, and I think you know where this is going if you know the book of Phantom. If you've read the book. However, the night of, Adrien is like getting everyone prepared. He's getting all of his officers prepared. But one of the guests at the opera house, one of tonight's guests at the opera house, passes by, and he's like, "Excuse me, young man. What show will be?" And he's like, I think it's Don Juan Triumph." And he's like, "Ugh, Don Juan. I always love that one. It's a representation of my people." And he's like, "Oh, your French is uncanny if it's like a bit of an accent. Are you Mexico, my dear boy? Where are my manners? Don Marco Diaz at your service." And he's like, I'm prepared for a hell of a show tonight." So, and Adrian's like, "Right on." Anyway, so he doesn't bother with that. So he has to prepare for, Marinette. Sure enough, show's going off without a hitch, and then the chandelier breaks, and it falls onto the people below. And yeah, during all this confusion and chaos, the cops are running everywhere. Marinette grabs Chloe and takes her underground, and Adrien hunts her down and encounters her in her own private lair, to which he's like, "Marinette, enough! Take off that mask." And he sees just full phantom regalia, and he's like, "Take off that mask." And he's like, and she's like, "You really want to see what this is?" Takes off the mask. Her face is horribly burned. Not just that, like the side of her face is horribly burned, but not just that, like her voice was horribly damaged from the smoke inhalation, so she can't sing anymore. And she goes, "Chloe and this bitch took my voice, she took my face, she took you away from me. All of that. If she took everything from me. Why? Because she couldn't sing herself." And Adrian's just like, "Let it go, Marinette. I can help you. And he goes, "You can't help with this. You can't help with any of this." And he goes, "You have to turn yourself in, because there's cops coming. There's more police coming. They are going. If you surrender, I can negotiate you to be what? In a cage, pointed at the dancing freak." No, he's like, "It's better that than a guillotine. Maybe we can find like a doctor to help your face." And she's like, "This is the only help I need." And she just fucking like tosses Chloe down into a pit full of just hungry rats. So she's just getting ripped apart. Adrien tries to go save her. Marinette tackles him. The two fight, and during the fight, the gun goes off in Adrian's chest, killing him. And Marinette's just like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't I wanted this to be better." But she hears more cops coming. Chloe's getting ripped apart, and she knows she can't stay in the catacombs forever. However, that's when a voice goes, "Excuse me, madam. It seems you need some help." And to which she's like, Who are you?" "It doesn't matter. Don Marco Diaz here at your service." So Marco takes Marinette. They escape, and the police find Adrien dead, Chloe ripped apart by rats. But Marinette is like, "Why did you save me? And how did we escape the catacombs so fast?" And he's like, "You have your tricks, madam. I have mine. But this is my good friend, Mr. Cypher. We would like to talk to you about a proposition." And she's like, "What kind of proposition?" Of the dawning of a new age. Would you like to help us?" So that's where the story ends. I've been really liking how I've been this construction of this universe to see how it all pays off. You guys let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of this Phantom of the Opera story with Ladybug? I really like mixing the two, not just because of the French stuff, but also makes me tolerate the Ladybug cartoon just a wee bit more. Not that I'm watching the show anymore, but yeah. Anyway, just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.